Okay, so I'm going to talk today about Audit Trail. Not everybody has access to run these type of reports. It's usually somebody with supervisory responsibilities or higher up supervisory responsibilities. And basically you go in and you can timestamp when somebody is in the system and which program they're in. Now I have applied a few filters to this program, to this report, to not include any program names or member or resident names on purpose because I wanted to make sure that this was appropriate for YouTube video. I give full permission for my audit trail report to be posted here. I am Michelle Meyer, and I am doing this video with my name as the worker. And so again, I give full permission for this to be posted. So from the 27th to the 10th, it's not that many days, but as you could tell, I'm in the system a lot. And so it's time stamping everything that I do. Well, a couple things I want to really point out is a couple things. If you're doing something very specific in the system, so again, sometimes I run reports and I run audit trail reports to see when someone's in the system, when someone's in, when they're doing data entry. So I do run these reports. And I also run these reports when I kind of feel like data's kind of missing for a couple days and no one, if I run a report on Friday and I notice that there's a lot of late entries, I'll go in the system myself and see, when a supervisor has gone in to check on staff and things like that. So why is this important and why am I bringing this up and why is this video being posted? A couple things. It's important to note that for Medicaid compliance, data entry has to be entered in within 24 hours of the service being delivered. Okay, again, data has to be entered within 24 hours of the service being provided. So if it's a residential shift, is it a day program shift, whatever shift it is, if a staff person has provided that service, they have to enter in that data before the end of the day, before they leave off shift. If it's the therapeutic program, the therapist has to enter in that data right after providing that service to an individual or individuals. Okay, so it's really, really important. Late entries, if it's habitual, meaning happens a lot, Medicaid can actually take back money just simply for the fact that it's a late entry. They don't need anything else to go by. If it's a late entry, then there comes the question of how could you remember exactly the service you provided if it's 2-3 days after the fact, and that's just enough justification to take money back. So this is very critical that we all understand the responsibility of getting that note in right away. Okay, so a couple other things I want to note here in the audit trail report. So we have, when you can see what staff are doing, that day I was really busy. I want to show you when you're timed out. There was a couple times I did get timed out because I was looking at a screen, not because I walked away from it, but because I was staring at reports for a long enough time and it just logged me out. But I don't think I see it now, so that must not have happened recently. What I wanted to show you is when you log into the system, it's really important that you log out before you walk away from the computer. Okay, if you get timed out because you're looking at something, trying to figure something out, that's different. But again, if you're being timed out, then it's really, really important that you know that you don't ever walk away from the computer with your log in. Okay, so you open yourself up to vulnerabilities then. Okay, and you also open up or you violate HIPAA regulations, right? If you're logged into the system and you walk away, you give anybody who's in that vicinity access to the system and access to HIPAA sensitive information. So it's really important we follow that rule as well. Okay, so a couple other things I wanted to note here. Anytime I run a report in the system, part of what I run is when an entry has been made. Okay, so a couple things here. If I go in and I do training residential program. I'm not sure if I'm going to see a lot of data here, but let's just play around with it. The daily documentation. Let's open up the date range for till the 13th, and let's see what this yields. Sorry, I don't think I hit reports. I did hit reports. So I'm in report mode. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what I did wrong. I am a form builder, so I can't go in like everybody else. I have to go in under the form builder, report builder. So daily log, training, daily log report, and let's open up this date range to be the 3rd. Hit continue. Let's see if we have some data in here. We do. Okay. So a couple things to note here is it's important that when you are filling out a daily log entry, that you're entering it in a timely manner. Okay, so there's only 2 entries here. So what I can do is in a report like this, and I'm going to go back to daily log, I'm going to run the report, and I can hit change this up a little bit. Now, one thing I need to point out to everybody is if I'm seeing that there's entries that are not happening right away, or I'm noticing that there's a trend, then what I can do is I can run a report, and it basically will tell me when a staff person has been in the system and when they created it. Okay, so I can put here date time created. I'm just going to add that in there, and I'm going to display the report. It's going to give me a few minutes to pop that. And now here, this entry for 1/3/2017 for shift 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now this is the training program. It timestamped it. So I know exactly when that staff person was in and entered in that data. Okay, this was a training. This is a training day. And so we did do training, so the entry was made at 2:45 p.m., which we all know if it's till 4 p.m. that the entry has to be entered in from 3 o'clock on, within the last hour of the shift. And this was training. But like I said, everything timestamps. So if the staff person's in the system and they're entering in data, as long as you're within the protocols within the last hour of the service, so a whole shift within the last hour before that shift ends, that's when the data entry has to be entered. So again, anytime a staff person is in the system, it is going to time stamp your date and time you were in the system. So just please be mindful of that. When Medicaid comes and they do an audit, I don't know what they're going to ask for right off the bat. And I am quite sure, I'm pretty confident that they're also going to not only extrapolate the data or export it from Excel, they're going to also want to know the time and date it was entered. Because again, all they need to go on is if it's a late entry, they don't need to go any further. They don't even need to see if the note is good. They just know that it's a late note. That's enough for them to pull money back. So again, it's really, really important that we know that we come in and we are doing data entry in a timely manner. Now, the other thing is, I run reports on Fridays, every Fridays for the residential program, and I run reports on Monday mornings for the day program. Things to note is the reports that I run are just the quality assurance last check before I can batch out to Medicaid billing. So I run the report, I let our fiscal department, our finance department know whether or not we can bill Medicaid. So it's a last check. So it's really, really important that everybody does their part. So staff who are providing the service, please get your entries in on time. And supervisors, please make sure you're checking every day or every other day to make sure that the data is in. Because again, 2-3 days late entry, we're already behind the 8 ball and we're already at risk of returning money to Medicaid. So really be mindful of that. Look at the big picture of this. And it's really important. If we all do our part, it makes it a lot easier. Reports can be run and reviewed much quicker when everybody has done their part and there's really no deficiencies to really note. And it's really important that the whole team understands why this is important. So this is the reason why I made this video today. I hope this is helpful. You don't necessarily see when you're being time stamped. The system just does it on the back end automatically. So as soon as you log in, the system is automatically noting your login time and date. Okay, so there's no backpedaling, and there's no faking it in the system. If you said you were in a system 9 o'clock in the morning on March 9th, the system's going to know whether you were in the system March 9th at 9 o'clock in the morning. So again, this is not to scare anybody, but this is just reality, and we just also just be mindful that if everybody does their part, then Medicaid won't find any issues, and we won't have to return money back. And that's obviously a awesome scenario. So thank you guys for your time. There'll be more videos posted throughout the next couple of weeks. If there's any kind of video that anybody would like to see, please send me a message in awards. Thanks so much.